good evening, everyone. It's Carlos, aka CJ. Hopefully, everyone's had a fantastic day so far. Just want to take a moment and thank all those comments from Rogue News fans, all those that have been asking about my whereabouts and what I'm doing. So I felt the love. So I want to thank you for that. But I'm back and going to be on a regular schedule to produce content. Really looking at focusing on solutions-based content to help individuals achieve a better quality of life. I've always said it numerous times that I believe that our best and number one asset is our health, because if we don't have our health, we don't have anything else for ourselves, for our family. And yes, I saw your comment earlier, El Nino. Yes, your brother CJ's back. Yeah, so welcome back, Truth Taco Tuesday. love that. But I'm very excited for tonight's guest. Tonight's guest is Megan Corbo-Syrellis. She is a holistic health practitioner. She began her passion for empowering individuals to take control of their well-being. Her journey to holistic health began with a decade as a registered nurse and a personal battle with a chronic illness in her 20s. She witnessing the limitation of conventional medicines firsthand. Megan embarked on a quest for alternative solutions. This led her to discover the power of holistic practices, a path that ignited a desire to help others avoid similar struggles. Megan's mission is very simple, to help individuals thrive, not just survive. She believes that true well-being extends beyond conventional healthcare and emphasizes preventative measures to ensure a vibrant future. Her message is clear. If you prioritize your car's maintenance over your own health, it's time to invest yourself. And with that being said, Megan, welcome. How are you?
Hey, thank you, Carlos. I'm doing great tonight. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful, and want to thank you for the opportunity to have this discussion. You know, we've been trying to get it scheduled for a minute now, and you know, we're also busy in our lives and what we're doing, and let's face it, Megan, with today's challenges with the health, I think it's just an imperative time to have this type of discussion in regards to it. But before we jump into that, Megan, why don't you share a little bit more about yourself, your background, and where you have arrived at this moment, please?
Yeah, definitely. So I would say, I was a healthy child, but I wasn't the healthiest of children, and definitely had quite a few health issues by the time I was in my late teens. Had a lot of diagnosis, this laundry list in my 20s, and recognized in my early 30s when I transitioned out of the hospital that I needed to make some changes. And fortunately, when I moved to home care, I had a lot of the families that were really interested and kind of persuaded me to look into some holistic alternatives. So a lot of people will think that my journey started immediately, like it happened overnight. It's definitely been an 8-year journey that I've had. And so with recognizing that I had a lot of these long-term, lifelong, diseases or diagnoses, I guess, if you want to call them, and being told that I would have to be on medications lifelong, I was kind of on this journey. I wanted to be a mom. And how do you get pregnant and feel comfortable with these medications going to your baby who shouldn't have those diagnoses as well? And so that was kind of something that was that really resonated a lot with me. So I did some heavy metal detoxing. I was almost in menopause at the age of 32. And I was actually able to raise my one number by an entire point, which then qualified me for their 100% money back guarantee program. And that's what I needed to achieve. My reproductive endocrinologist basically related to the fact that I took different measures to get my health healthier.
Yeah. And, that's interesting because I think from a lot of aspects, including myself, we've all been kind of on that health journey, right? Trying to find that well-roundedness in regards to self-care, preventive care, and then more importantly, understanding that and I've used traditional medicine, and I have a lot of friends that are in healthcare, and I applaud their efforts, and I'm very thankful for what they're doing. But I'm also a results-driven individual. We just can't be doing things and patting ourselves on the back and not measure the results of it. And I think overall, one of the reasons why I really started looking more in terms of holistic health and self-healing is primarily because overall, when you look at the developed worlds, the developed countries, that by far the United States, we spend more per capita on healthcare than any other country, but yet we have the worst health outcomes.
Yes.
We also have very much a prescription driven type, and I'm not discrediting the benefits of prescriptions and all those things, but what I'm saying is that if we are seeing the longevity decrease, where the life expectancy is decreasing in our country, those things shouldn't be happening when you spend more money on healthcare per capita and you're having the worst health results. And that's what really led me to kind of focus on more of a holistic. And I'd like for you to kind of, because there's a lot of taboo things. When people say the word holistic, they think of like the snake oil salesman that like is pulling the voodoo out and so forth.
Yes.
So why don't you share a little bit around holistic health, and because you have tradition, you're a registered nurse as well, so you've seen the best of both worlds. So why don't you share your perspectives on that of traditional medicine and the blend of holistic into that? If you could do that, Megan, I'd really appreciate it.
Yeah, there's definitely a time and place for holistic medicine versus traditional medicine. And ultimately, you referenced there when you're introducing me about if you treat your car better than you treat your health, and you are willing to pay for those oil changes, you're willing to pay for nice brakes because you don't want to get into a car accident, you put good gas or quality gas in your car, you're not going down to the one that waters it down. Why would you be fueling your body with toxins? And then majority of people will say to me, well, does insurance cover that? Well, no, insurance doesn't cover that. Does car insurance cover your gas in your car or your oil changes? And so the other thing is that I look at how many people are saving towards retirement. And how do you save towards retirement if you're not going to be able to live long enough to live through retirement and live a quality life? I'm not talking about, living in a nursing home or not being able to move your body, pricking your fingers every single day. And so I do believe that there is a time and place, and maybe people do need some prescriptions while they're finding preventative or proactive wellness solutions towards healthy lives. If you're a really, really crunchy person that is living on, that homestead, I might not be that holistic nurse coach specifically for you because you've got really solid foundations. I am foundations and frequency because I want to help bridge that gap to create those plans that maybe it is, the husband that has asked his doctor, when can I get off these blood pressure medications? And they say, no, these are lifelong. You just got to stay on them lifelong. And they can work with me. We can create a plan that they can run past their doctor. I work with physicians and other medical practitioners to create that plan. And then all of a sudden, when they're measuring that blood pressure every day and they're recognizing that they're staying at a consistent quality level, then they feel comfortable bringing them off. And they're recognizing that. So that's kind of some of the goals that I have towards bridging that gap, because it does seem very scary, but I don't do anything that's, voodoo-y or, something beyond. And I'm also going to curtail to what are they comfortable with. Let's start there. And then let's move further into maybe, cranial, or, if crystals are a thing that you're interested in, we can discuss that too.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think that, for the most part is that, really kind of creating what I call a customized approach to healthcare, really focusing in on the individual needs And I think for the most part, I think that's what's challenging around. It's changing a little bit. It's changing for sure, but there for a while, in regards to traditional healthcare, they were short staffed. Their time was limited. They were
Still
under the constraint. They were under the constraints of insurance companies, what they could bill for, and let's face it. Unfortunately, I think sometimes we look for that quick fix, right?
yes.
We
Yes.
look for that quick fix for solutions because number one, we're time starved. Number two, we want to feel better. We want to feel good, right? And then the third piece of it is that like the follow up. Where's the accountability in terms of not only on the healthcare but also on ourselves in terms of improving our livelihood. So I think that's why in part that I think every healer, and I call you a healer because that's what you are, Megan, being holistic, you're a healer. I think every one of them has been on a journey of their own of what your background was, that you had your struggles, you had your pain, and you spent the time to kind of research, and I was there as well. I share this story a lot that like I had a brain surgery many years ago with traditional medicine. I had a compressed nerve in my face, and I didn't go to a traditional doctor. I still to this date I don't have a doctor. I don't. But whenever I had this facial spasm for nearly a decade, I started researching, and I realized what it was. And this doctor out of Pennsylvania developed this surgery, microvascular decompression surgery. But my challenge was is that I just couldn't pick up the phone and call a neurosurgeon and say, "Hey, I want to sign up tomorrow for this surgery." I had to follow through the system of what's involved and everything that was partaked in that. So that's what again, I think again just the balancing between traditional healthcare, but at the same time accentuating the need for holistic health. And I think that's what your role is just so important to help individuals. How do you do that? So if someone comes to you as an individual basis and they say, "Hey, here's where I am. Here's my goals. I'm not quite reaching there. What can I do?" What's your approach to that, Megan?
Yeah, so oftentimes I really like to have an initial call, a discovery call with my clients just to understand what that background situation is and are we going to be a good fit? I am, and some clients are just not for me. I can't always say that I'm going to help you. And I will be upfront and honest. And then what it looks like from there is if we agree, then you get a 90-minute initial consult. And during that initial consult, I do a full intake. I have you fill out a very detailed form. We discuss what are your goals to, number one, achieve during the visit. What questions are you hoping to have answered after the 90 minutes? And then also, what goals are we going to be working on, over the next month, 2 months, 3 months? And where would they ultimately like to be at even a year from now? So that might look like weight loss. That might look like hormonal balancing. It might look like helping to work with their doctors to get off of prescriptions. One of the ways that I do that is if anybody's noticed in the 1900s, early 1900s, you go to your primary care and they could answer almost everything, right? They were so intelligent. We respected doctors as these highly regarded, intelligent beings. And now they're so pigeonholed into, I can only look at XYZ. And so as a primary care, they have to refer you if you're, it's needing an endocrinologist because of hormone balancing. Gynecologists don't even touch hormones anymore. It's wild. And then when you look at like a neurosurgeon, they're not going to be looking at what's happening with diabetes or, to the diabetic foot, but could there be something there that is actually happening neurologically that they need to look into? So what I use is a technology, bioenergetic resonance, and I'm able to take a voice clip and use quantum physics to see where there's imbalances in the body. I send all of my clients pulse tones because one of the things that medicine does not address are emotions and how much our emotional health can play a role in our physical health. So I think everyone on this planet could say that they've had some sort of trauma. Even babies coming out of their mom's womb have had some sort of trauma, or whether it was a C-section and they were evacuated too soon, that we need to deal with that. And familial trauma is a real thing. And so if we can start to use binaural beats that are personalized to your voice as a starting point, and then branch out into making small changes, the binaural beats are actually able to help provide some energy during the day and some rest at night, to just kind of create some of those foundations. One of the best things that you can do for your health every day that I tell all my clients is get outside, plant your feet barefoot in the ground, and get grounded. And even if you only have 2 or 3 minutes that you're going to start with, you're going to start to do some more. And especially with the summer coming, I was doing quite a bit of it, in the winter during the cold months. Sometimes it was just too sharp, of not the blades of grass, but the soil that was just a little painful on the feet. Other people thought that I was completely crazy, but I felt amazing. And if other people could feel this too, they would want to continue doing it.
Yeah, no, that's fascinating. And in regards to frequency, and it's something that I'm very much in tune into, is that that our bodies are, we're connected, right? Like there's so much that's said, and trying to understand that literally there's recent studies that are coming along where they are actually developing certain frequencies that are actually killing cancer cells. They've developed this harmonic balance that we have within ourselves, and there's so many disruptive things that are in our lives right now that are disturbing. And that's why, in my opinion, I'm not a doctor, I don't claim to be. I think that's why we're seeing so many sleep disorders, we're seeing so much anxiety, in part is because of all the interference that's occurring, not only with the Wi-Fi in our homes, but with the 5G antennas that are now every other block, that are interfering with our natural harmonic balance that we have healthy. So in your regards to frequency healing, and on your website, which the links are in the description, you talk about something that's just so important, and something that I've learned a long time ago with helping my son, is that is healing the gut. Is when the gut, and for the most part the stomach, is almost like your second brain. It's just so important that if you're having inflammation in the stomach, you're having irritability, you're having the things, it's impacting a lot of other things. Can you share a little bit about your perspective about healing the gut and how it plays a part in healing the mind?
Yeah, definitely. So most people don't realize that our gut is actually more of like external, skin-like structures that are going through. And, we're supposed to be putting food in, and it's supposed to digest. And if our acid in our stomach is an ideal level, an ideal pH, and we have a lot of really good microbials, that good bacteria in our guts, we should be able to break down that food, get it through the small intestine, out the large intestine, and it absorb the nutrients that our body needs. But the problem is that we have a lot of toxins entering our oral system. We've got a lot of excess sugars, excess chemicals. So, when you think about your white sugar, that's bleached. And when you consider the fact that even most of our flour is enriched or fortified, is still adding a chemical component that's not natural for our bodies to break down. So, when you look at our gut function, and if your pH isn't the appropriate level and alkaline water is not the solution, your pH of your stomach should actually be on the acidic side. And the majority of people out there are taking these antacids or supplements or products over the counter to try to decrease their acidity levels.
Mhm.
Well, if they noticed that they were eating more acidic style foods and they started to introduce alkaline based foods, broccoli, fruits, vegetables, they should theoretically be able to tolerate them better. And by eating those fruits and vegetables, that'll add in a really good amount of fiber, a really good amount of good microbials that's going to help your gut thrive. And
Mhm.
we need what's called pre and probiotics. So I always talk with my clients about making sure they're having their pre and probiotics, digestive enzymes to help them break down that food, because there might just be a traffic jam in the gut. And then all of a sudden, they are having worse problems due to the traffic jam. And what can also happen is then that line, filling it with a lot of fast food or a lot of toxins, it'll get very thin. So because they're having that lack of fiber that helps that mucus layer build up, now we have what's known or what's commonly heard of or talked about as leaky gut.
Mm.
And so I help people, kind of get to the more of the root causes. And we might not even have to do tests specifically for leaky gut. We just work on the foundations, and all of a sudden your body does this miraculous thing and is able to start balancing itself out. But you do have to commit to the process. When you spend a couple $1,000s on a Peloton, you're going to be using that Peloton. And when you start paying towards your health and you're invested, all of a sudden you're actually following through on things instead of $5 for a box of an antacid that is going to be creating worse issues down the line.
Yeah, no, very well said. And in part, the pH balance in our body is what potentially could create a storm if we don't have that balance of allowing cancerous cells to thrive within our bodies. And you know, and again, this isn't medical advice. This is strictly, this presentation is for educational purposes. This is my disclaimer, Megan, in case you're
Yeah.
wondering. So consult with your doctor. Don't talk to your
Yes.
doctor and everything, but at the same time, there are other things and options that you should consider. But in regards to the gut, and if we're eating healthy, we're taking what I call a 360 approach to our health. Exercise, and sometimes really you need that type of individual like yourself that can help people navigate through that, because in
Right.
regards to the health gains that what people want to be, it's difficult. Like, we're also busy, we're also time starved, that we're eating stuff that we probably shouldn't be, we're wondering why we're not sleeping well and so forth. So getting back to the frequency portion of it with your program that you have with foundation and frequency, how does that work in terms of is it meeting with the individual, or can that be something that's done remotely, Megan, to help people with that?
Yeah. So, CJ, with you and I meeting over Zoom, could you imagine that I'm on a wireless device and you're also on a wireless device? When, Susie calls her mom and she's in Pennsylvania and her mom's in Washington, that's a wireless device. So those are frequencies that in a millisecond, we're able to interact and see each other. And it's just these seamless conversations. So how it works, I could do this completely virtually. I will take a voice clip from either Facebook Messenger or text messages. And when they submit this voice clip, I will run it through and it will detect 12 across the 12 notes, A through G sharp, what emotions are associated with those tones in the voice. And it'll detect the top 3 tones and the lowest tone, the lowest frequency. And then there are the program that I use actually can show over 8,000 physical connections in the body and the imbalances. So when I look at that, I'm also then able to perform a scan on various sections to help my clients understand maybe they do have some, gut peristalsis. This is non-diagnostic, but it helps me to get a broad picture without doing any poking, prodding, nothing. And be able to then suggest, I might recommend maybe going to your doctor and getting checked for XYZ. And so I can also see, are there some food sensitivities? Remember, when you get blood work done, that is just one snippet in time. But if you go and get your blood pressure checked today, at 7:25 at night, and then you got it checked tomorrow at 7:25 in the morning, they would be completely different. You get it checked then at 8 a.m. tomorrow morning, it's going to be different because it's a very fluid. Our bodies are full of fluid and they're ever changing, and so are the frequencies. Energy requires hydration. Our bodies are supposed to be water. So if you are drinking a lot of fluids that are very dehydrating, or you're full, the frequencies are not going to be working and your body's not going to be as balanced. My inner voice program, if you get the full scan, it will give you some suggestions, and they seem like pretty common sense suggestions, but it's something as simple as hydration, taking a digestive enzyme, pre and probiotics, exercise, taking a walk, deep breathing. Like, all of this seems like it should be second nature. But I will tell you, there's a lot of days that I'm going through and I'm like, I don't even think I took a breath today.
Yeah, for sure. No, and I'm guilty as charged through the course of the day, and then wondering why at the end of the day I don't feel the best. Is because, well, what did I do to help myself, right? As far as an individual, and really taking accountability for your own health as an individual. And it's just so important to focus in on that right now for our own livelihood, for our family. So Megan, how does one begin in regards to your solution to help others? So what's the beginning step for people that are listening in?
Yeah. So for anyone listening in, I actually had a question this morning as I was networking, and one of the guys was kind of asking, well, my mom is afraid of the term holistic. And, you can say that I'm a nurse advocate. You can tell them I'm a nurse coach. I think one of the benefits is that I've seen both sides of the world, and I'm not looking to push people past their boundaries. I'm going to kind of evaluate for that. And then, I will do a free 30-minute call just to make sure that we are the right fit for each other. And if you on that call, or your loved one on that call, is like, yeah, no, I don't like her personality, or there's just something that she said that rubbed me the wrong way, I will not take it offensively. Oftentimes, though, they've recognized that I have the patience of a saint, that I'm more than willing to go at their pace and recommend things that are within their limits. So if somebody's not able to maybe get off the couch and walk, let's start with some solutions that will be reducing the inflammation that they're having, create some of that mobility. Maybe it's even just using, a glass jar and raising it up and down and above and over your head, and starting off with some of those. But they have to be willing to make small changes towards a big future. And I guarantee in my program, if everyone, all of my clients would make some of those small changes, they would have big results in the future. My program is not a lose weight quick. My program is not a get healthy tomorrow program. It is a get healthy for your future program, but you have to be willing to make the changes and put the work in.
No, I love what you said, because I think it's fundamentally just so important, is that, not everyone is at the same scale. Not everyone's at the same pace and where they're ready to begin. I started this journey about 4 or 5 years ago, when I realized at a younger age I was starting to have pains in my knees that I shouldn't be having, that I wasn't feeling so good getting up. And then I realized, I said, well, how much have I really been focusing on my health, and what things am I doing? I'm like, guilty as charged. I haven't been. So what steps do I need to do? And you
Right.
said something that resonated with me, but you may have that person that is significantly obese, that they're on the couch. They've really struggled to find a solution to help them, but they need to start. They need to start somewhere, and those simple steps are just so important for that individual to begin those steps. Because when you're not in the right mind frame to help yourself, you're not in the right mind frame that other things become your comfort. You know, whether it's food, whether it's alcohol or other substances that provide you that comfort level. Those things just put you in that spiral, right? That spiral of I can't get there. I'm not going to. And we need to find a way to help individuals begin to take that first step. And
Yeah.
it can be as simple as taking the jar that you usually drink from and doing some curls, you know, a little bit. And that's the beginning step. But
Yeah.
you would feel better at the end of the day knowing that you made a commitment to yourself and your health to make a difference.
And I definitely found, you know, when I've been working with different coaches or, you know, therapists or whatever it was that accountability. And so recently, I saw a physical therapist, and I walked in myself and I said, "Hey, I've got some female problems, that I have some leaking. It is not normal, ladies. So if you have leaking, please go see a pelvic floor physical therapist, find somebody you trust." And so I walked in there for my own health, and I'm thinking, why do I make excuses if I'm able to find the time to show up here twice a week, get an hour of physical therapy, just because, you know, I have insurance, you know, so I'm using that through insurance. I was like, why am I not going to a gym? Why am I not putting on an exercise program? Why am I not? What excuse am I making? And that was the key right there. So, so since I've stopped doing that, I've been trying to either do karate, which is free in May locally here. So I've been trying to pick up, you know, just some other activity, or, you know, when we take my son to the park, they have a free gym at the park. So to do that, last night we were childless. My son was at my family's house, and I was actually able, I said to my husband, let's go for a walk. And we went for a walk around the neighborhood. But it's me consciously making those choices each day. And some days I'm like, nope, I just got outside and I did my 5 minutes of grounding, and that's all I could do for me. And good job, Megan. Tomorrow I'm going to strive for just a little bit more.
And that's all it takes, right? A little bit more. I know in conversation and messages we had earlier that you wanted to touch base on something that was very important to you, and that was yeast in the body. Do you want to share a little bit about your thoughts on that and why it's so important? And I believe you offer a free or some type of a test to help individuals with that.
Yes. So yeast overgrowth is something that a lot of people don't recognize could be causing more symptoms than the traditional thrush that we think of, the white coating on the baby's tongue. Or sometimes people think that you get thrush or yeast overgrowth because of not rinsing after using an inhaler. And then also the vaginal yeast, that women get these candida yeast infections. There is a small amount of yeast that normally lives in our small intestine. And so that helps our food break down through the process. But if we do not digest our food appropriately, or if you're that mom that's on the go, or kids are notorious for this, that they take a huge bite into their mouth, they don't chew it appropriately to a puree consistency, and then it's whole food chunks getting into our bellies. And without the proper digestive enzymes in our gut, which can naturally get there through quality fibrous fruits and vegetables, you can have a very good diverse microbiome, that you have normal digestive enzymes. Otherwise, it's a good thing to talk to your provider about supplementing them, so that your food is breaking down and it's not sitting there heavy in the gut. That's also one of the frequent concerns about eating too late at night, is that your food hasn't had time to digest. So now this yeast is kind of going from the small intestine up into the stomach and now wreaking havoc. So that can look like brain fog. It can look like skin irritation and rashes. It can look like gas and bloating, upset stomach. Heartburn is a common symptom, or that acid reflux. You can have very strange looking stools or stooling habits when it comes to it. You might have, some rectal itching because of the yeast in your poop. And other symptoms that I would go over. So if they want to do a free yeast test, I highly recommend that you can reach out to me if you want these instructions, and I can email them to you. wellness@foundationsandfrequency.com, or go to my Foundations and Frequency Facebook page and we can chat through Messenger. Basically, what you would do is, on a night that you have enough time in the morning to spend roughly an hour, and not an hour staring at a glass, but take a nice clear glass, a very clear glass. Even just an 8-ounce juice glass is good, but something that you can clearly see down the side. And what you're going to do is fill that with a bottle of water. Now, you don't want to use tap water. You don't want to use distilled water. Use that bottle of water, pour it in there, and leave it sit all night, either on your nightstand or in the bathroom. You're going to get up in the morning and you're going to, first morning saliva, spit a big wad of saliva at the top of that glass, on top of the water. You don't want to mix it around or anything. Just leave it sit there. You can take a picture of it, and then every 15 minutes for an hour, take a picture of that progress. What you're probably going to notice, and I'll try to hold my glass up here, is if you have yeast overgrowth, you might notice it kind of looking like a jellyfish, and that it has these tentacles flowing down your water. You might notice some whitish particles in the middle just floating around, or a big white mass kind of like at the bottom. If you want, email me and I can tell you more. Wellness@Foundations and Frequency, A-N-D spelled out, frequency.com, so that we can have more of that conversation, or send me over some pictures in Messenger, and I would be able to, let you know, do you need to work on some yeast overgrowth? If you do want to take your own route and see if you can troubleshoot it yourself, feel free. And then otherwise, we can do a consult to get to the bottom of what is causing that and what can you do to help mitigate the situation. Sorry, Carlos, I can't. Oh, I think you're muted.
There we go.
There we go.
Remember, I told you that I'm getting back into this, so I'm a little bit rusty to look at my mic to make sure I'm unmuted. But I think that was very important, and hopefully the people tuning in listen to that and understand that. And I'm guilty as charged. There's nothing better to me than when I've had a long day and I haven't cooked, and it gets 8:30, 9 o'clock, and then I'm craving some chicken wings or something, and I'm eating way too late. And then I'm paying for it the next day because of just eating way too late and not allowing the body to process the food that I've had, and not sleeping that well. Megan, closing thoughts, and I truly enjoyed our conversation. Please make sure, if you're tuning in, to share this live stream. Also, look in the description of this live stream. There's the links that you can follow Megan and her work that she does. I've shared it a few times, so you can jump over to Facebook. Her Facebook page is Foundation and Frequency. You can jump over there and like and follow that. And then the website is foundationandfrequency.com. And so, Megan, just want to thank you for a fabulous conversation tonight. And any closing thoughts before we close out this live stream?
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I think it is so important for people not to get scared away by not feeling like they're the crunchiest mom. I'm a scrunchy mom, scrunchy. My son will still occasionally have pizza and French fries. And, if we go out somewhere, I'm usually choosing milk over him getting like a juice. But I'm definitely not the crunchy mom. If I can choose a better alternative to take with me, I'm going to. And I've just noticed that he acts very differently when I give him something with dyes. Or for him, you know, I do genetic testing. So that was another thing that we could talk about in a future thing. But with me having MTHFR and him having potentially having MTHFR gene mutation, I'll avoid, you know, folic acid and some of those enriched flours just because I notice a difference in him. And so if we can just strive, you know, to, oh, I ran out of my Lysol, instead of me going and reaching for another toxic product, quickly think like, well, what else could I possibly be using to replace that? All right, well, you know, I'm kind of tired. Everyone's saying candles are really toxic. Let me look more into that. They're saying that I should try to get organic. Well, I don't think I have the money for all this organic stuff. That's okay. If you take that grocery shopping list and you say, well, this looks organic, this is organic, and I like broccoli, so let me get the organic broccoli today because that's affordable for me. Those are small steps that you are taking towards a better future for you and your family. Making that, you know, I want to go out to dinner, making just small healthy choices of, well, I am going to eat my broccoli first here and eat my protein. And then if I have room for that carbohydrate, I might enjoy it, but let me fill up on these and at least make sure I'm getting in that vegetable. Yeah. You know, it's something that it's just those small things that I can't stress enough. Don't be afraid to look into holistic alternatives. And if somebody is pushing you past your limits, find somebody else that's going to be more understanding.
Yeah. Megan, I want to thank you for an absolute fabulous conversation. I know I truly enjoyed it. I know our listeners will as well. So please comment in the description, the responses tonight to our live stream. And looking forward to do more of these conversations. So Megan, thank you so much and look forward to our next conversation.
Definitely. Thank you so much, Carlos. Have a great night.
You do the same. All right, everyone, I want to thank you again for tuning in to a live stream. It's good to be back and having these conversations. Again, you can follow my work over at Open Mic Cast. Looking forward to doing more of these. Absolutely, Robin, thank you. Glad to be back and doing these types of conversations. And then also hit the subscribe button over on the YouTube page. So people have asked, what's OMC stand for? It's Open Mic Cast, because really want to create different platforms to help individuals have more one-on-one conversations. So we're going to be plateauing into X Spaces, which I really love the community that's being built there. So I want to thank you all for tuning in tonight. Again, this is Carlos, aka CJ. Enjoy your evening. God bless all of you and look forward to the next live stream. Take care.